both the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca vaccine have been through really large clinical trials, over 30,000 people in both of those clinical trials, and in those it did show they were safe and very effective. And that's what the TGA looked at to license it. We know the TGA is a very rigorous regulator. They took their time, as we all know, and analysed all of the available data, and that indeed showed they were both safe and effective, hence they were approved for use in this country. So they're both very different technologies. The Pfizer is what we call an mRNA vaccine. So that's where we basically inject the instructions for the protein we want made, and in this case it's a spike protein, so something on the surface of the virus. With the AstraZeneca vaccine, that's a viral vectored vaccine where we deliver those same instructions for that spike protein in a harmless virus, in this case an adenovirus. And again, once that's injected, that helps make the spike protein and we get an immune response against that. So while they're both very different platforms, they both work really well. So the majority of healthcare workers, particularly if they're in 1A, so potentially working with people with COVID, will get the Pfizer vaccine, and that's really just because that was the first one available in this country. The majority of people in this country will in fact get the AstraZeneca vaccine because we have access to a lot more of that, and really importantly we can make that onshore at CSL. So most people in this country will get the AstraZeneca vaccine. So while there were some early discussions that the AstraZeneca vaccine wasn't as effective as Pfizer, they were basically incorrect. There's been lots more data coming through to show that they're both very safe and very effective. And in fact, in some studies, the AstraZeneca vaccine outperforms Pfizer. So the main thing to say is both of these vaccines, or all vaccines that are approved by the TGA, are very safe and very effective. And I wouldn't be concerned about which one you're getting. The key is to get the first one you can. There are so many reasons why people should be vaccinated. I guess the first thing to say is there's lots of debate about whether these vaccines block transmission or not. And while that's hard to study, so we don't have a firm answer on that, it's very likely they will block transmission. So that means we'll reduce the number of cases around, which obviously is of enormous benefit. The main thing we know these vaccines do very effectively is they prevent symptomatic infection from COVID. That's those numbers we hear about in terms of efficacy. But in terms of how much they actually block severe infection, hospitalisation and death, that's nearly 100% with all of these vaccines. So when you look at that figure alone, it should be very clear why we need to get vaccinated. And at the moment in this country, people might say we've got such good control, why would we bother? Well, if we don't have high rates of vaccination, we need to continue all the measures that have got us into this position indefinitely, basically. So that'll mean snap lockdowns, border restrictions, limitations on venues, and all sorts of other things that we've done really well and have us in a good position, but we certainly don't want to keep doing that forever. And the vaccine is the best way to not have to do that.